back and forth on that Celeste world record.
All right, we're in the first part of the game where all our runners will attempt to get out of bed at 27-ish seconds.
It's a lot better than I get out of bed.
Yeah, me too. This is what's called world-class speedrunning right here.
So let's see. Let's talk about each individual segment as they kind of come up. So right now we're talking about the escape segment. A lot of movement tech. You always hear some people talk about like, oh man, sub 6, and it's actually a pretty tough thing to get. It's working with the RNG that you're given, maneuvering Link correctly, utilizing some of the pumping tech in order to kind of reset your pixel movement. It's all these different things that you're kind of incorporating in order to get through this segment really quickly.
You can see them already kind of using some of that pumping tech right now.
So we're seeing a little bit of difference in RNG with first couple of screens, the guards, and which direction they decide to move, in which way some of them get alerted with you. The big sword guard can come down and kind of get you.
Looks like all runners are gonna head to that blue guard pretty soon. You attempt the sideward spin strat. Looks like all 4 got through. One important thing to note later as they come by is a lot of these runners, as you can see, they're going to mash through a bunch of text. It's actually important to learn how to do that really well because it actually could take quite a bit of time. I love how they use that boom. And this is one of the reasons why we don't pick up the lamp early in Link's house is so when you pick up the boomerang, you don't have to bend you to it. And you just boomerang through that key after you kill the guard. So Nitties, what stress do you think you're going to see? You're expecting 8-slash all the way from all 4 runners?
More than likely. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble on my end with the restream, so I'm trying to fix that. Apologize.
Alright, we did see a 1-pot and slash strat from Parisian player, which is also a decent strat to use. We also see these runners try to avoid stair lag. They don't want to exit out of these stairs by going directly out. They want to move them out left and right. You'll be seeing that a lot in this run, especially when you see these staircases that they're going through. Alright, they're about to head to the bottom half of the sewers of Escape, where they can approach RNG with ropas and snakes. Right, some crazy RNG things happening here. But it looks like all 4 of our runners made it through. Here's another good place to use pumping, because walking through water, it does slow your movement. So it's great to utilize the pumping strategy here.
Oh yeah, if you're not going to do any pumping throughout escape, you can still get a sub 6. But absolutely using pumping whenever you're in water or in grass, that's really going to help your movement, because those will slow you down to whichever way you're facing, to only 1 pixel at a time. So it looks like all of our runners so far have had a really good escape. Within seconds of each other, with the respected racers. Let's see what times they're going to get. Who's going to get out of escape first?
Looks like we got a sub 6 escape just about for all of our runners here. So this is a really great start for them all. Let's see if they all opt to grab the Sanctuary Heart here. All right, we got 2 who did grab it and 2 who didn't grab it. Nice.
It's interesting that the people that didn't grab it are on the same sides.
It's 3 seconds, but it may save your run later on, so it's a wise decision for some of these runners to grab it. Now, Ninnies, what's so great about pumping on these stairs here?
Well, ascending stairs without pumping is going to be really slow, like ridiculously slow. Pumping is just as valuable on water as it is on these staircases, but I think out of everything, the staircases saves the most amount of time overall.
Yeah, this is the greatest part about pumping, is you can double pump on these staircases, so make good use of that.
Yeah, double pumping is actually pretty tough to get consistently. The best way to test for yourself is to go to like one of the little bridge sections in like leading up to like Hyrule Castle, and as long as you can kind of stay within like one of the tiles, that shows that you're double pumping effectively.
A really nice ball pattern for Void there. Didn't have to zigzag as much.
Yeah, it looks like Andy got hit by one of the cannonballs, unfortunately. So I wonder if he's going to pick up a heart either here in the skeleton room coming up here with the pots, or if he's going to pick one up later, or just kind of go for it.
That's nice. Some of our runners were able to get a small little magic drop, and then they used the bloom to get it. So in the end phase, when the magic refills, you save a tiny bit of time there for that.
I still like to grab that safety pot there with those extra 5 arrows, because you can't always guarantee that the Igors are going to drop any of the arrows in your way, and you don't want to lose a little bit more time heading up right before Armos Knights trying to grab any of those like 5 arrow pots to the side of it. It's completely out of your path, so those arrows really not that much of a time loss, and it's a pretty good safety to have when you're in a race situation like this.
And you also see some of our runners race slashing the popos because they're trying to get rupees later on, hoping for a good rupee drop.
Yeah, so far it looks like Parisian players got 7, which is not too bad. Chances are we're going to see some more drops along the way. I didn't see Parisian slash too many of the rats in the sewers. Benteezy, Andy, and Void are really low, so hopefully the popos in the room right before the Armos Knights will drop some arrows. Ooh, looks like Parisian got a 20 drop.
Yeah, getting that 20 is going to help him so he doesn't have to pick up some of the blue rupees, the tree tug we're going to see way later on.
Let's see if any of our runners here use the Gift of the Greenies. A risky strat, but wouldn't put it past us, some of our runners here, to utilizing it. Looks like nobody did. Basically, Gift of the Greenies is a really quick way to get through that dark room with the 2 Igors. It's a quick kill, throw the boomerang, and then the key kind of comes to you on the way up until you grab it just before you hit the key door.
Alright, looks like our runners all made it through the Zelda gaming room. Andy's opting for a different strat here than the traditional top right strat.
Yeah, this is a much more difficult to execute, but it's a little bit faster overall. So it looks like the other 3 runners opting to use the more traditional strat to defeat the Armos Knights. There's like at least 3 different ways to kind of take these guys on. There's the way that you kind of see with the Ice Armos later on in G Tower. You can do it from like the bottom right. You can also do the top right that we saw the majority of our runners do, or you can kind of choose that center path, which has a lot of different change-ups, and it's a little bit faster, but a lot of practice has to go in for that one.
Alright, we got our boots now, so this will be the first instance that we're going to be seeing spin speed utilized. It's a great way to maintain your dash speed. And there's quite a few locations that we're going to see this, but the most great location to use this technique will be on Death Mountain.
Yeah, Death Mountain already is a pretty horrendous place in any of the segments that you have to kind of revisit it for. So we'll see it when you're heading up to Hera, you'll see it again to go get Ether, and then you're going to see it again on the way to Turtle Rock. So any way that you can kind of get through there to get past all the dead rocks, get past all the cabbages dropping on you, the faster the better.
Another important thing to note is when you're dashing, you want to try to utilize the dash speed as much as you can, so the earlier you can get it, the more you can utilize it.
So it looks like Andy went for the unholy spin speed. Looks like Parisian is the only one that didn't go for it. Unholy spin speed, this is, like, you can use the spin speed here, but unless you're consistent with it, you're actually just going to be losing time every time that you don't get it. It's a little bit tricky, but really the most important part is when you exit the stairs heading up into the library, you need to hold a diagonal, and that'll lead you right into the door.
As you can see in Andy's routing, he's trying to not get into those bush areas as much as you can and avoid going into the water. That's why the routing is done as they dash through.
Yeah, there's also, like, I think if you're a little bit off center of the bush pixels, you'll dash through and you won't be slowed down as much by the grass tiles. So you want to talk a little bit about Desert Palace here, the second dungeon of our Light World?
Well, this first room, Andy's going to probably use the poke and dash strat, or he's going to use the poke dash and go right through. This is the reason why our runners try to also maintain arrows, because this boss is also vulnerable to it the most. In terms of HP, Lammolas has 16 HP, and each one of our arrows do 4 damage. So you're going to see the runners pick up a bunch of arrows along the way through this dungeon too. And here's going to be another RNG pattern, is this cannonball room that Andy's about to slip into. Get some, one where he had to adjust the dash there.
Looks like he didn't have to adjust his dash all that much. I've often seen runners, I know I do, to switch to the lamp in that room with bad cannonball RNG.
As you can see, Andy's picking up more arrows here. He has a good arrow count. He has 29. That's really, really nice to have.
Oh yeah, he's got an absurdly large arrow count. I didn't see it because but I think he got an arrow drop from the red Igors leading up into Armos Night, so he more than likely walked into that room with 30 arrows.
All right, here's that risky spin speed technique that some runners will do, but hopefully we'll see our runners get by. Like Ninnies was saying earlier, it's not worth the risk. You could lose a minute if you fall off.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to fall off too. Right as you exit the stairs, usually there's a pause buffer to the lamp, and if you miss that, it's so easy just to run off.
We did see on Void's side, he did attempt it and made it successfully. We'll also see the nifty key dash technique here. Care to explain what happens with that, Ninnies?
I'm sure I'll get corrected in chat as I did last time, but it has a deal with your frame or your tile ruling of like how fast Link moves when he's dashing, and you get to the door just like I think it's like a frame or a couple of frames before or pixels before you actually bonk the door and it unlocks the door, allowing you to dash on through it. There's kind of easy ways to set it up. Most of the ways, if you dash from door frame to door frame, you'll get it. You'll probably see that in Thieves Town. Other ways you'll see it is if you like kind of nudge on something that has a good placement, like some torches will do it, some pots will do it. So it's a matter of just like positioning Link where you need him to be, and then getting the dash into the door.
Oh wow, Andy maintained the 3 cycle there. It looks like this boss is really RNG based. The only first phase that he comes out of the holes in the same spot is the very first cycle, but the way he jumps out, it's all RNG dependent. So you really don't know where Lamlos is going to be hopping, and he might even quick hop you sometimes. But what our runners are trying to do is use as much arrows as they can without missing, because if you do miss, you can't fire another arrow until it strays off and hits the wall.
Yeah, not just that, but it's even if you set it up, like you saw our runners bonk the wall and then try to reposition themselves so that way they are in a good spot. It's not really always guaranteed that Lanmo is going to cooperate with you once you kind of set that up.
I'm pretty sure we saw Andy do the cactus dash successfully. He's probably the only runner who's going to attempt that one. Of course, the fake flipper, right?
Oh yeah. So it looks like Andy got through, and then our other runners are making their way onto it. This can be a little bit tricky. It really depends on where the Zora is going to spawn. But the best way you can kind of set it up is if you kind of just hit up and then paddle twice, and then your third paddle should usually put you right in the correct spot for that to land. So it looks like all of our runners got through it. It happens even to like the best runners. You know, you can get a bad Zora spawn. Sometimes Zora wants to spawn right on top of the whirlpool, so you got to be like really quick. And it's it's one of those situations just like, oh man, am I gonna make it through, or am I gonna get hit at the last second?
All right, these boulders are the things that we worry about when we get up to Death Mountain, because sometimes right after text box like, oh, Andy, again, bodied there. Let's see if Andy gets and tries it. Yeah, he tries to attempt for quick warps here. Quick warps are great to use because it helps you save about half a second.
It's half a second per quick warp, correct?
Yep, it's half a second per quick warp. You can even do that with mirroring. So Andy tried to attempt for another one up there. One of the things that we always fail to mention is how quickly our runners know how to menu through to items. This is something that they've all practiced and optimized so that they know how to get to their items the quickest. Looks like Andy did the item dash, but that one, I don't know if he did the one where he had to use 3 inputs at once to get that. But most of the time, item dashing is, of course, using your item and the dash button at the same time. This is a Japanese 1.0 exclusive.
Yeah, the item dash has a lot of usage later on in the run. Utilizing it with the hammer allows you to kind of just blast through pots. You'll see it more than likely used in like Swamp Palace. You'll see it used in leading into like Thieves Town segment. It's really good, and 100% you actually get to use it to grab one of your little heart pieces right below the dwarven smiths that allow you to get your tempered sword. Other places that it's really useful for is once you get to hook shot, you can get your spin speed much easier than charging up your sword and then hitting the dash button the frame after that you release your spin.
Of course, you also saw that when that switch came up, our players were utilizing iframes, so in that phase they weren't getting damaged at all. Also see Andy just use the bomb jump to get to the moon pearl chest, and by bonking, dashing over and bonking, it gives him a little bit more frames to make that jump.
It's an interesting little trick that Andy just did right there. Sometimes if the little Dodongo fires the fireballs over there, normally you have to wait for the fire to kind of go away, but you can hold your sword out to the left, and you can kind of hug that little ledge. More often than not, you'll be able to kind of get over and around that little fireball, and you'll be able to progress without having to worry about the fire dissipating.
Alright, it's Moldorm, our favorite boss. Takes 6 slashes to kill him, but his head's the only actual piece that can actually damage you. So you want to watch out for that the most.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. A lot of the enemies have like weird hitboxes like that. You'll even see that with some of the BMOs. You can almost walk through the entire part of the BMOs that you see on the screen. It's just the lower part of it is actually the hitbox for it. So you kind of saw that a little bit in like the desert that they dashed around. You can pretty much like, because they're typically like 3D models in a 2D top-down scenario, so that's what kind of gives it that ability to do so. Same thing with like Moldorm having that hitbox only really being the head.
And Andy's first gonna do the tree rupees, which were explained earlier. He has to grab a little bit more because he needs 110 heading on his way for a little special monkey we're gonna see later on.
Yeah, it looks like Moldorm's giving Void a lot of trouble here. Let's see if he gets on through it. Yes, he's through it. Awesome.
Guess all our runners have successfully completed all of their Light World pendants, so then we're able to pick up our Master Sword now.
A lot of runners on just like doing a run themselves are just really happy to be getting to get out of Light World.
Alright, by pulling the tree, Andy has reset the count for it. So now he has to kill, which he did. He killed a few enemies already. He needed to kill 4 more now in order to pull red rupees from the tree tag. And also, it's risky a little bit here is because you can't take any damage. Otherwise, you're going to have another situation where you're not going to get the red rupees.
Yeah, the good news though is that like if you don't get the red rupees, with the preferred route, which is to get them right here on the tree inside of the Lost Woods. If you get hit anywhere along the way, there's a backup inside the Hyrule Field. There's a tree over to the right side you can pull if you line up another set of 4 kills without taking any damage. And it doesn't matter how many hearts you have, as long as you don't take any damage in between trying to get these tier rewards. And last but not least is if you're just like not having a good run and you just still need those rupees to get in a pod, you can always go for the Sahasrara rupees with a mirror.
We get our first instance of fence dash, which is really swag. It also helps us save time as well at the same time. And Andy's maintaining sword beams because in these first couple of rooms in Hyrule Castle here, you get to use like some strategies. The reason why I want to use these sword beams is also to save time, but another reason is for maintaining the prize pack that we're going to try to do here, so that later on in Turtle Rock we'll get a manipulated fairy. And this is the reason why Andy dashed through the enemies, because it actually keeps the prize pack count down. It doesn't change at all when you dash kill enemies.
Yeah, what our runners are trying to do is they're trying to set up a prize pack. The prize pack that they want is a reward of a fairy by killing one of the Pokies in Turtle Rock. If our runners are using the fastest strat, which is to get through Turtle Rock by taking damage in the roller room, and then dashing through the second roller, they're going to be about 3 to 4 hearts, well, 4 to 5 hearts, depending on how their overworld was, below where they need to be, and that puts them in danger of dying to the chain chop. So having that fairy drop come in when you need it most is what they're trying to set up.
And these specific enemies are part of a same prize pack group. It's not just all enemies are in the same prize pack group, and that's why the little Helmas and the Pokies are also the same prize pack as these guards that they were killing.
I also think that the Poki or the Popos in the Dark World, those ones are also in the same prize pack, correct?
Yeah, this is the reason why you don't want to kill excessive amounts of enemies as well, because you're also hurting your prize pack. But you want to kill them with dashing then instead, if you can.
Yeah, prize pack is really important if you're running no safeties. I mean, it could be really beneficial for you if you're running at least just powder, but I don't think any of these runners are running any safeties except for just the Sanctuary Heart for Parisian and Void.
And here's another RNG boss. We're going to have Aghanim here, who shoots energy balls that you have to reflect back. But there's also another chance that he shoots another kind of weapon, which we call blue balls. And we already have chat already putting in blue balls in chat. So they're all guessing how many blue balls it is. It is very RNG based.
Oh man, unfortunately Void got 1.0'd. This is something that's like one of the downsides of the 1.0 ROM, or the 1.0 version of this game. So you get a lot of benefits, you know, you get spin speed, you get item dashes, but if you fall, anything that's hitting you while you're still falling can still give you damage. So as Void kind of fell off there, he actually took another hit from the blue guard that was kind of pushing up against him. So he's really low on health right now. Luckily, these red guards have a chance to drop a heart, so he can recover some health here.
Yeah, okay, Void, you gotta avoid things now. Just gotta be very careful now with this half heart here.
Yeah, there's 2 hearts in this room, but it looks like he's just gonna push on through.
He's wisely slowing down and trying to avoid things, so I guess chat's going crazy with how many blue ball counts are going. What's guaranteed though is after every lightning phase, you're always guaranteed an energy shot, so that's the reason why the maximum amount of blue balls you can obtain is 15 if you don't miss any.
So Andy lost a lot of time to the 7 blue balls. Parisian player did not get as much, so that's given him a lot of time to kind of bring back this the gap in between it. So while it's unfortunate for Andy, for us as viewers and us as commentators, really exciting to kind of bring this race a lot closer.
Alright, we're going to see Andy utilize a quick hop here, so he can land really quickly, and then execute another spin speed technique off these stairs. Dashing really cleanly through that water, like Nini was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, Void's making me nervous there with that half a heart, but he's being careful. He's positioning himself where when he gets that spin in, that even if Aghanim were to drop a blue ball, he would not get hit by one. And it looks like he's through, so awesome. Void makes it into the Dark World a little, I'd say like what, it was like 30 seconds behind when Ben entered. So all of our racers, once again, really close, anywhere from about 60 to 30 seconds apart from one another.
As you can see on Andy's side and Parisian's side, they got Kiki, the monkey. This is where we had to turn in all those 110 rupees that we've obtained. And they do one little quick turn down and up because they want to have Kiki jump off their back really quickly here to hit this switch. Alright, Ninnies, we're in your favorite dungeon. Why is this dungeon with so many keys?
Well, I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but this dungeon has a lot of just like movement and mirrors. So I think you're going to see at least 4 mirrors in here. The small key, the big key, or no, 2 small keys, the big key, and then the hammer jump. You're all going to see mirrors for. And as I said before, the hammer jump is probably the coolest part about this entire dungeon. A lot of the Dark World dungeons are really just, it's more about like movement and being safe, because the difficulty really spikes. But while the difficulty spikes, it's just you get to do so much more fun, which is why, like I said, you know, runners are just really happy to get out of Light World.
And also why they mirror so many times is in that front of that dungeon, you can see there's bombs in those skulls. This is an area where they can pick up lots of these resources that they need for later on in the run.
Yeah, and not just that, but it's better movement too. You put yourself in a better position to get through this dungeon using the mirror.
And I believe it's ACMLM who discovered this routing. And he's in chat right now.
So as Parisian had to go around to both sides of that to catch up on bombs. He did have a little bit of trouble trying to get to the big key.
Looks like Andy played a little bit safe. He did the 1 bomb strat there.
See Parisian using the sort out method. That's a good way to kind of control how Link moves. You often see some other runners will utilize diagonals, and some runners will just like, I don't know if anybody in this tournament is brave enough to do no buffers or 1 buffer.
Alright, here's one of those rooms where you need to utilize those arrows. These red enemies here that we get killed can only be killed by these the arrows that we have. Without the sword beams, Andy would have to menu into hammer and menu back, of course. Oh, really nifty strat there, using the boomerang diagonally.
I actually learned about that during learning all dungeons. I didn't know that there's that little area that you can kind of throw that boomerang from, but it's very useful if you don't have sword beams.
And this turbo room that most of our runners heading to again, it's also RNG based. Andy's in the helmet fight first. It takes 17 hits with the hammer to break the mask, and then it takes. Well, it depends on what you decide to use. If you use the hammer, it's 4. Really quick fight by Andy there.
Yeah, I think I saw him utilize the hammer.
Yeah, they're extending the hammer out by holding their sword. It gives a little bit of extension. It also protects them from helm sword charging into them.
The other good thing that it does is allow you to kind of like look for visual cues. You can kind of look and see where the shield is in proportion to where Helmasaur is, and then you can use that to know whether or not your hammer is going to get hit in there. So another boss down for Parisian player.
Looks like all our runners are there.
Yeah, Void and Ben entering this room seconds within each other, so even with the blue balls and all the difficulty in Aghanim Tower for Void, looks like Ben had a little bit of trouble with this dungeon and allowed Void to catch up.
Oh my god, Ben.
Yeah, he can't take any more hits.
Yeah, he can't take any hits. Oh, he survived.
Oh man, these fireballs. Ah, there he goes. Okay, cool. So Void pulling ahead in his race against Benteezy. Ben just having a really tough race over here.
Alright, we're going to see on Andy's side, he's going to use this item dash here with the hammer, which is probably one of the most coolest looking things ever.
So this is one of the instances where the Sanctuary Heart could kind of save you. For Ben, he could only take him. They can both only take 3, but Void has the benefit of, like, if he were to take any additional damage inside of this dungeon, he would have been able to survive with 1 heart.
It also gives you a little bit more insurance for like Misery Mire, so you can because our players are going to utilize some strategy where they're going to get iframed, and then they're going to attack the boss that way. Oh, we get a 2 dig from Andy. Of course, this is our fetch quest section. As you can see, our runners pick up the shovel, and they're going to dig up the ocarina. And sometimes we have route divergence here, but I have a feeling our runners this time probably won't have any issues.
So it looks like Void and Ben are going to get their flute. Parisian just got his with 1 dig.
Parisian's going to try to skip by this red soldier, which we are named Usain Bolt here, wisely escapes. we're going down this pathway into the Village of Outcasts. Since we have our hammer and our gloves, we can use the portal here.
So, going on to what is our next dungeon is Thieves Town. Now, this is not normally the dungeon that the game would have you go to as second. The game wants you to go to Swamp right after, but we're gonna, since we have access to the Dark World, and Thieves Town is it's a difficult dungeon, but it's gonna give us a little bit more Dark World freedom. Plus, it sets us up with a good setup to get the rupees that we need in order to get the finger webs or the Zora flippers. So going here then going to Skull afterwards is much more advantageous than trying to go along the planned pathway of the Dark World.
And one of the key points of why we're going to this dungeon specifically is we get our Titan's Mitts, which allows us to grab a more powerful sword upgrade, our Tempered Sword, and that helps us kill the bosses much easier.
So this dungeon has a lot of really kind of funky bits to it, but one of the coolest things about it is the Hellway dash. Unfortunately, Parisian didn't get it with the RNG, but let's see if Ben and Void get it with their attempts. But it allows you to get through that horrible hallway with just one dash.
The tough part about that screen is even though, let's say you got the God Pixel and line arrow straight up for that in the middle area, you still have to deal with the enemy's RNG up top, so you still might have to adjust.
I think it's like you can still get the God Pixel, but I think it's if the Patrick Star moves up instead of diagonally, like out of your way, you have to cancel your dash, correct?
Yeah, you're gonna have to do something. Oh my God, Benteezy!
Oh man, he is having the literal Hellway. Ooh, Ben doing the riskier strat there, but is confident enough in his movement to press on. Only got one heart though.
Literally nothing he can do right now is just try to avoid any kind of damage. What's great about this boss in particular, though, is it doesn't matter what kind of sword you use, it still takes the same amount of damage. And that's why we choose Thieves Town.
Yeah, one of the cool things about Blind is hammer, swords of any upgrade, Cane of Samaria, all of those will do the same amount of damage to him regardless. So different categories kind of deal with him in much different ways. Though as long as you have a sword, the categories will utilize the sword. I believe it's only swordless, which is a glitch category that uses the Cane of Samaria against him.
Yeah, it's a really nice one to use. Of course, the blind fight is pretty much scripted if you maintain your attacks at a certain time and move along with the pattern. As you can see, Parisian got through it really nicely, and Void is executing that same pattern really nicely, and that's a really nice blind fight by Void as well.
Oh yeah, textbook blind fight. You often see some people in chat talk about scripted. The way that you fight blind is, as you're going to see Benteezy kind of do it over here. You're going to do 3 pokes down, and then that's going to put blind in the first spot. Really easy to avoid. It's just a left and a right, and then hold your sword out. Then 3 more pokes, and good. Ben got it. Ben got blind to the second spot. So now It's going to be a poke, slash, and a slash, and boom, once again, another textbook fight. If you can at least practice and get this boss down to executing the first 2 phases without too much of a trouble, the boss fight for this is really questionable for the 3rd phase.
And by having our Titan Smiths, we are able to lift this rock to take this frog and upgrade our sword now.
Yeah, having the Tempered Sword to take on not just the next dungeon, but the remainder of these dungeons so early is a huge benefit. Like I said, the enemies don't exactly scale very well with your current armor, and any of the armor bonuses that you get later on in the game are so inconsequential to the run. By the time that you go to Ice, there's a couple of dungeons left over, and then it would be replaced with Red Mail later on.
Well, hello.
Hey there.
Well, hello, Scrivo.
I would like to announce that Good Guy Parisian Player has called for a rematch. He will not be taking the win on a cart crash.
Well, that's something to be excited about, chat.
So
He's get a rematch.
He's going to go ahead and keep going. I don't think have the time to replay it right now. He's probably just going to keep going because he's on this run that's already started, so might as well finish it. But he has said that he will offer Andy a rematch.
Yeah, that's really good. Just because, as before, I think Andy said it in chat, that the bracket spots are not determined by how many wins you have. It's more or less about getting your best time up there on the leaderboard. So the better time you have, and I think that's probably what Parisian might be trying to go for if he's going to be aiming for a better time in the tournament.
Yeah, it's beneficial to both. So we're going to go ahead and just call this one a wash, but we still got a banger on the bottom, so stick around for V0oid and Benteezy, and cheer on Parisian as he finishes out his run. But I'm headed back to the couch. This is a good race. I want to watch it. Later, guys.
Enjoy.
You do get hype. We just saw Benteezy hit the fence dash right there.
I mean, hard to say, but I think that's the most important part about the run.
Absolutely. I mean, no matter what happened to him, now he's one up for sure the entire way.
So V0oid getting some good Gibdo movement here, allowing him to get that statue without too much trouble.
I'm pretty sure everyone already picked on the pattern here. Get the big key and then get to the big chest. There's only a couple of ones that we're gonna skip, is like Ice Palace. We don't want that that big chest, but and Turtle Rock, of course.
Ooh, V0oid getting the really close to the edge. So if you're trying to make that bomb jump right there, you need to be right up on the edge in order to get that bomb jump without having to bonk. So with V0oid here pulling ahead, Fire Rod in hand, moving on to the second half of this dungeon, and could be a difficult boss, but can also be really easy if you practice the moth tutorial done by Joss SRL.
Got Fire Snake there. That's also RNGs. Usually, if you get the good RNG, you can just dash right through and make a key dash through that door.
Yeah, it's a really quick like, you don't get a lot of time to react to it, but you always kind of like, I'll see runners kind of go in good faith and hope that they're gonna get that they're gonna get it. Oh man, Ben taking a lot of damage in these dungeons. Got to be careful.
Mm-hmm. And you just saw that that Gibdo get killed by using the spike damage there. That doesn't work with this particular boss. Care to explain why, Ninnies?
Because the developers wanted to make this fight really annoying, And, you know, as if the floor wasn't bad enough, the spikes do the same amount of damage as the gold sword does, which is why that 2 slashes with the tempered sword against that spike is what allowed Void to get the Gibdo killed. Ben's more likely going to be going for that strategy too, but Mothula cannot be damaged by knocking him into the spikes. So as an odd quirk, the gold sword will do no damage to Mothula unless you poke it.
All right, Ben being careful here. He has one more slash, I believe. He'll get this kill now. Oh, I can see he hits the spike, so it didn't damage. There you go.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Sometimes damage works like that with land mollusk. You can actually fire a arrow really quickly, and then slash immediately after, and the slash damage will overtake the arrow damage. I'm pretty sure that's not just version 1.0 exclusive. I think that's just pretty much global with the game.
All right, we got now back to 2 players on our screen. Makes it a little bit nicer to look at. So we're gonna get our more equipment here in order to finish the rest of our dungeons. Floyd's gonna go pick up, of course, Quake here, and the reason why we go in this pathway is we're also gonna pick up our flippers at the same time. Oh, the lottery, of course. Why we call that the lottery is because that little hopper right there seems to always get in the way sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately, Void took a little bit of damage on there, so I think there's a couple of bushes along here that allow you to that may drop a heart.
Yeah,
but,
you're correct.
Yeah, but the little crab monsters in the light world more often drop hearts, so you kind of want to have sword beams entering ice, but it's not too big of a deal. If you could also utilize the fire rod, but Void's already a little bit. I think he might have accidentally fired a fire rod shot, thinking that he had the mirror out. So might need to try to scrounge up some more magic, because the last thing you want to do is drop into cold stare and be 1 fire rod shot less.
Yeah, they're probably gonna try to kill a Penguinator and try to get a little magic drop from it or so, because those enemies tend to drop more magic at those times in that dungeon. We can see on Benteezy's side, he's also going to try this quick work by bonking off this rail here. A little bit risky is if you go a little bit up on that, you can also end up in a soft lock where you always end up jumping the water. Oh!
Yeah, I've actually had that happen to me. Being a little bit too far north, you jump in the water, you get the cutscene, and they'll put Link standing on the water. So you just kind of get Link stuck there.
I also find one of the hardest dashing areas is Zora's Domain, because you can actually dash through more than you can think about the dashing points. As you can see on Benteezy's side with that right side dash, looks like he was in shallow water, but he's still able to dash through those points.
What's really interesting is you can actually kind of learn where you can walk on. If you've ever seen an all dungeons race with the Death Mountain descent to get into this area, you'll see all these little tiles on the outskirts of the little path that you can walk in the shallow water, and it actually shows you all the paths that you can walk on with Link. So there's definitely benefits to like learning and watching some of the major glitch categories. In addition to this No Major Glitches tournament, you'll learn a lot about all the places in this game that you could dash or where you can add additional movement tech.
We're gonna see the 2 bomb strat here by wait, yep, we are. This way he can save a crystal switch.
So yeah, it looks like both of our runners took a little bit of damage on the overworld movement here, but Ben getting really lucky with these jellies and didn't have any sparks going on, so he was able to kind of just get in there with the movement. Now, Void is coming up on probably one of my favorite tricks to get done optimally, which is the Ice Palace Bomb Jump. I think what he's probably going to do is, I've seen him done before, is the dash turn here. Yeah, it's beautiful. All right. Gets in that second pixel. And he's good to go with the hammer dash in tow, getting out of that room nice and clean.
It's also great because he needs that hammer out anyway, so it saves him the menu there.
So see, Ben's opting to use the double bomb method. I think he had an extra bomb, so that makes using this tech a little bit more comfortable.
And what's so important about this bomb jump, it allows us to skip through pretty much the rest of this entire dungeon. Lets us go pretty much straight to the boss right here, as you see on Void's end.
Yeah, it turns what, like a 7-minute dungeon into a 7-minute section time, or segment time.
It's also the reason why Ninnies was worried about Void's magic is just because of this instance right here. Cold Stare has this ice block that you have to utilize your full magic meter in order to break through it. Unless you had like sword beams, you can also use a little bit of tech with the sword beam and the fire rodding at certain times, and then you can actually break the ice even sooner at that point. Because I think because the fire rod, once it hits the ice, it leaves it in a little bit of a vulnerable state at that time.
I kind of really like the way that Void took on Cold Stare here. I haven't really seen that spin method, but it looked really good where he got the poke over there and then went low and then kind of tried to keep him in the upper corner.
Yeah, some of our runners opt to go for the quick double poke strat to get Cold Stare into the right corner, and then they use one more spin attack to hit him twice. And let's see what Benteezy decides to do. He's gonna go. That's the most optimized strat to beat this boss.
Yeah, Ben's got to be careful though. Cold Stare with Green Mail does 4 hearts of damage, and the Icicle, the big block, does 2, and the smaller blocks, I believe, do 1.
Alright, Ben did the 6 slash away, which was really nice. Still got them all pretty closely in proximity.
Yeah, that was nice and clean. So the next dungeon on our in our way is Swamp Palace. Now, you're coming in here overpowered. You have a lot more health, you have a lot more equipment, and you have a much more powerful sword. So the Tempered Sword is going to make quick work of all the enemies in here, as well as Argus, either 2 Tempered Sword spins, which will do the same as a Gold Sword slash, or more than likely what we'll probably see is the 2 Fire Rod and 1 spin method to get that second phase out of the way. But first what we got to do is we got to drain the dam here. So Void utilizing a block disappearance minor glitch. I'm not exactly sure what causes that, but spamming the mirror in certain places, except for inside of a dungeon, while you're pushing a block, will cause it to disappear and allow you to dash on through it.
Alright, looks like our routing is not changing here. Usually we have a little bit of route divergence depending on how the runner feels with their heart levels. Some runners opt to pick up their fetch quest items here, where we get the Ether Medallion and Ice Rod. But it looks like both our runners are going straight to Swamp Palace. Well, Swamp Palace is pretty much linear. We have to get to the big key so we can get our fancy item to finish the dungeon. As you notice, mostly about this game right now is just about every dungeon we've gone to so far, we needed to pick up the item we need to progress. The only one that we skipped so far, of course, is the Ice Palace Big Chest. Gives you a blue mail.
Yeah, true to the majority of Zelda nature is the dungeon item that you get is consequential to either getting through it. So, for instance, the Cane of Samaria, it's not used against Vitreous, but it's used to get to Vitreous. But for this dungeon in particular, we're going to get probably my favorite item in this game, which is the hookshot. Great for movement tech, great for item and key pickups, makes spin speed much easier to land, and perhaps not really well known now, but before, the hookshot, when you use it, it stops Link from moving, but that doesn't stop everything else from moving. So things passing through you, such as like fire bars or anything that would damage Link, like the fire bats and the Ganon fight, they won't damage you, not at all. So it's a nice way to get yourself into a position where normally you would take a lot of damage and kind of escape that.
It's actually funny that the Nintendo booklet actually tells you to use it that way.
Now see, that is something I did not know.
Alright, it looks like Void's about to collect your favorite item here. It's actually a great way to set up to pick it up and then get the extra key that we need on the right. You're gonna see Void jump in here. He's gonna line him up next to that statue. He just did. Now he just has to hold down and right to get to this one section. Get a hook shot to these two skulls here. And Ninny's mentioned earlier about the hookshot dash, and that's going to be utilized in this screen coming up right here. Can't really see what happens, but Link is now in a different moving state, and that allowed him Void to pick up that skull instantly. Also changed Link's movement pattern. It's actually moving at a faster speed at that point.
Yeah, it also allows you to pick up that pot by pressing A only once instead of twice, while you're trying to push that that statue to get it on the button.
Alright, runners, of course, are very wise and still picking up a bomb because they need a bomb for the ice rod, but they also need a bomb for Misery Mire still. Okay, we saw on left here, Void tried to go for the zero cycle, but it's still really tough to execute.
It's really tough timing. The best way that you can kind of set it up is that you fire while you're holding your sword out, so you have to hold B, and then you also have to press your YA to do your item dash at the same time, and then it's all rhythmic. So as soon as you pull the little puff ball in, you have to see Link's sword kind of push in for the reaction to how he's poking, and then you fire your hook shot right after that. So that way you're continuously keeping up that rhythm of fire the hook shot, grab the puff ball, poke the puff ball, and then refire your hook shot. And that allows you to, while you're in that state, to get the same amount of damage as a sword slash, but it's a poke. So we're seeing Ben get it. Oh, he's almost there. He's almost there. Oh, he had to cut out. He didn't get it quite fast enough, but still, he got a one cycle because it looks like Argus is in the normal state where he'd be cycling the puff balls, but still really good execution on that, and gets the and he gets the quick go. So really fast Argus fight from Ben here.
You also got the quick menu. Nice bird catch here by Void, utilizing the item dash of the hook shot there. You see him do the same on Death Mountain here with the stairs.
Yeah, so this is the more not optimized, I'd say, but this is the more efficient way to kind of do this. You come here, you get yourself the ether, you have the hook shot to get yourself into spin speed, and it makes this ascent a little bit safer, but you can still take a little bit of damage, as you saw Void do here. So it looks like he's not opting to get the fairy, which would put him back at full hearts to have sword beams from Meyer. So perhaps he's going to try to kill one of the crabs, or try to hope for a heart drop coming up on when he gets the ice rod.
Another strat we saw by Void was when he was on those stairs, he went for the sword climb, and that's by also, once again, hookshot item dashing these stairs and holding out his sword as he climbs up it. You see him, Link, go a little bit quicker up those stairs. You see Benteezy doing that for us right now on his side of the screen. He's going to do it again right here.
It's fun to note that even though they are climbing up really fast with the sword climb, they are still pumping against that staircase, even double pumping to try to get as many as possible. Looks like Ben gets himself a fairy, and it's going to put him into a really good spot here. And unfortunately, Void not getting a heart here, so it's not a big problem. You can still utilize the fire rod to get the quick kills here and get through Meyer 2 really easily, but sword beams are much more preferred.
Yeah, the reason why we want to have beams and such is because the whiz ropes that appeared in Meyer 2, we don't want them to cycle at all. We want to kill them before the cycle disappear.
Yeah, it's actually the proper Meyer 2 strat is actually something that I just recently learned. It looks like Void gave us the bird toss.
It's still quick to use the fire rod. The only reason why it's a little slower is because you still have to wait till the fire evaporates. And you don't want the last enemy to, see right there. You still have to wait for the enemy to phase out from the fire. But yeah, Void did a really good job still.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There are certain enemies that when you... Oh, wow. Did you see that Void dashed through the fire snake but didn't take any damage?
Yeah, that was pretty insane right there.
But yeah, sorry. There are some enemies that if you use the fire rod on it, it'll kill it immediately. Wizrobes and the skeletons, it'll do so. I'm not too sure if there's any other ones that will do it, but for the majority of enemies in this game, if you use the fire rod on them, it will kind of sit around on it.
I like that strat that Void did right there. As of course, kill the jelly so the key would drop near the door, and then slash the switch.
Yeah, that's a little bit RNG dependent. The jelly can move a lot of different ways. More often than not, he'll be moving up, but the best way you can kind of get it is if it moves towards the switch. You can actually get a slash and the beam out where the sword hits the crystal switch, and the beam hits the jelly, knocking the key right in your path.
So also we like to mention is the torches. Usually when we get there, we can kind of tell where the runner's pace is about, and generally we had to tack on about 20 minutes to finish the run from there.
So let's talk a little bit about Meyer. Meyer is, I'd say it's probably one of the more dangerous Darkhold dungeons. The majority of the time in like the dungeons, you're going to be like, okay, I don't want to take any damage at all. But to get through this dungeon the fastest way, the way that we use this optimally, you're going to take at least 3 hearts of damage. And it's in this room that Void's about to get in here to get this small key.
Yep, there's the 3 hearts that he took from the spikes. This is also the reason why players sometimes opt to get that Sanctuary Heart, is later on we're going to see this boss fight where we're going to try to avoid these eyeballs. And those eyeballs can actually do 4 hearts of damage if they hit you directly. But we're going to try to avoid them, as you can see when Void gets here. But we'll talk about that.
Looks like Ben's being a little bit safe here and chooses not to go for the spark gamble. Can't blame him. He did skip the Sanctuary Heart, so he's already one heart below his opponent. So he can't really afford to be as risky. But he's about to take his 3 hits here, and then, barring anything happening later on, he's going to get through this dungeon with only 3 hearts down.
And you can see on Void's side why they kept the low bomb count was the minute he used that last bomb, it already automatically menued to the Fire Rod. Then he was able to use that against the Crystal Switch.
Ooh, Void taking a little bit of damage from the Fire Bar and the Anti-Fairy here. So entering this fight really low on health, but still more than enough to get the quick strat here.
He does get the 1 cycle here.
Very nice. I think he was a little bit nervous about it. And
I was like,
yeah,
I saw that too.
Yeah, because I didn't think that he thought he got it. I thought, because it looked almost like, it would have fooled me too. It looked like V0oid was about to shoot lightning, so I think he was more concerned about avoiding that and not getting hit by it, rather than just like trying to see if V0oid was emerging.
Yeah, it kind of fooled me too. I was thinking about like, oh my god, it's going lightning.
But something cool about V0oid is sometimes you'll see runners, and I did this up until I think about a month ago. I didn't realize how soon you could start firing those arrows at V0oid. I thought V0oid had to be at least 2/3 or 1/2 of the way out of the goo before you could start doing it. Nope, as soon as V0oid starts to kind of shake and want to emerge from the slime, you can start firing off those arrows.
You also want to maintain him in the air as you keep firing the arrows. Oh, Ben! You gotta be very careful now.
Yeah, he's using the right wall here, so you can get Link all the way up against the wall, and it kind of keeps him safe from the lightning, but more importantly, it allows you to kind of get deep up on those the little slime area and get those spins on the eyeballs. So he's handling it really well here, but he's got to be aware of the lightning.
Okay, he's okay now. He's just gotta time this out. There you go. He's safe now.
Whew, Ben, really nervous fight there, but he's gonna get through V0oid.
Really
saw that
clutch.
slash there. There's still a couple of seconds after you defeat V0oid where the little slime field will still deal damage to you. So Ben really wanted to make sure that he's safe to go up there and pick up that heart piece before pushing up there. The last thing you want to do is die right after you finish a boss. And there's a couple of bosses where you can still die afterwards. Cold Stare is one of them. V0oid is also another one of them. I don't think there's any really other bosses while it's dying. You can take damage and even after you've defeated it.
Yeah, the after effect damages after you kill the boss generally are the worst kind of feelings. Alright, let's see this prize pack manipulation come through on our runner's side of the screen here. Once we see those pokies, we'll have an idea of where it might come.
Yeah, where we want to see it is right before the chain chomps, but if he either didn't kill it or he didn't get the drop, because I think even still, after you manipulate the prize pack, it's still a percentage chance that you're gonna get the drop from the prize pack. So
yes.
Yeah, if he doesn't get it here, chances are it'll either be on Pokies 1 or Pokies 2.
Sometimes because we kill that mini Helma in House of Darkness, it also affects it because it's part of the same prize pack.
I always thought that was essential to move it forward.
Well, if you do slash kill it, it's still part of the prize pack.
Oh, he didn't get the fairy drop here, so Hopefully the chomps are going to be nice to him. He doesn't get good RNG, but he's placing it on the second spot here. Gets both of those and gets through the chain shots really easily.
Alright, he's gonna grab these arrows here, of course, to the tube.
Yeah, I believe, as I was told, it's if you're any lower than 12, you want to pick up these 5 arrows here.
Yes, that's correct. Oh, yeah, he's about to avoid. I'm like, oh, go back, get those, Void.
Yeah, Link's detection didn't quite pick those up. So Ben with Sword Beams here, clearing out all the little jellies, doesn't want to take any more damage here. Void gets the quick kill on the Pokey, but is standing a little bit too high up, so he gets we get to see a little bit of a activation action kind of slowing off a little bit.
He does get the full magic jar in the prize pack, though, so I'm thinking maybe Poke 2's potentially where we might see his fairy drop.
Yeah, because I think actually I thought the full magic was after. No, it's 8 bombs is after the fairy in the prize pack. So hopefully he'll get his fairy here. If not, if he's taking a lot of damage, you can still kill a couple of the little mini Helmasaurs on the way to the boss, and you can try to push your prize pack. Oh no! He's completely bypassed the fairy.
Yep, missed.
Okay, yeah, so I think the full magic pot is after the fairy, so he missed it somewhere. He must have had to kill somewhere and it dropped the fairy. You know, I think I remember seeing a fairy back in Palace of Darkness during the bomb jump.
Yeah, the mini Helma cost it.
So Void's got to be careful here for the remainder of this dungeon. He's only got 6 hearts. Well, 5 now. So the laser skip coming up here is a little bit dangerous. The laser does 3 hearts of damage. Taking a fall does 1. And then I think Trinex, his head does 4, but his body does 2.
Yes, that's correct. So Ben gets his manipulated prize fairy there.
Oh, Void.
Wow, this is gonna be nail biting. He will get at least, well, the 1 heart's almost trivial at this point because anything he does at Trinex will pretty much wipe him out.
Yeah, that Pokey there's a little bit scary. If the Pokey's right in your way and you dash through it, there's a chance that the little part of the Pokey will bounce up and hit you on the way through your dash. So this is going to be a close fight, but I think that Void's confident in his abilities with Trinex here. Going for the backdoor strats.
Oh, nice. Oof. Voids it all.
Yeah, that's really scary to do with his health total. If he accidentally walked a little bit too far, he could have just hugged the boss. Good fight. Good fight. I think he was just completely confident in there in his ability to not take any damage in this fight.
Of course, he remembers the item will drop in the middle of the screen. This is reason because Trinex, you can kill him off screen. So then Nintendo decided to make the item drop always in the middle. Nice laser skip by Benteezy there. It's actually the front part of the laser and the end part of the laser that actually damages you.
Yeah, that's what makes that trick so cool. So you get to go through that, and you're able to kind of dash through just that middle portion of it, and then get around to the chest before either of those ends of the lasers actually make contact with you.
Looks like Ben opted to do the front door strats.
Nothing wrong with that. Although front door strats, I don't think it's possible for you to get a 0 cycle with Trinex. The lowest you can get is a 1 cycle, just based on how long you have to wait to have access to the firehead and how far you are away from the ice head, depending on its RNG.
Also, Ben also remembered to item to hookshot, so you can use the hook dash here. Making through Gan's towers really nicely with the boomerang and hookshot here. They're utilizing all these strats, even using the hookshot to grab the key for you. Here's the item vulnerability of using hookshot again. Alright, meanwhile Benteezy's on his way to Ganon's tower. Let's see how he enters the tower and open it. Usually you want to open it at a lower point, because the crystals actually can spawn sooner, as he does here, so. And Void's about to head into the Ice Armos. This is the reason why I wanted those arrows for.
Yeah, Void's making quick work of this G tower right here.
Yeah, we're gonna revisit all our bosses from the Light World in this tower, so.
So the strat that Void used just for Ice Armos, you can also use that, as I said before, at the beginning of this run, to utilize on regular Armos in Eastern Palace. It's just as viable as a strategy.
And we also have to maintain those arrows for these couple of rooms ahead, because we also have these mimics that we have to deal with. It's a nice key dash through the big key door as well. Alright, Void's about to go into Ganon Ball Z while Benteezy is about to head into the Ice Armos fight.
Yeah, he's got...
Ooh, nice Ganon Z.
Ben's got more than enough arrows. It's just a matter of getting that pattern in there, and I think he can do it. Void's in the gauntlet here, so it's about 4 rooms of just enemies in a line leading up into our old friend Limulus here, but a much easier fight, as you're going to see, because we have the Fire Rod to use against, as well as having the Tempered Sword. So a spin of Tempered Sword, you're going to get either 2 spins or 2 Fire Rods will defeat each single landmo.
It looks like Void had no trouble getting through Gauntlet. He just blazed right through the whole thing. Oh, almost a 1 cycle.
Yeah, one of the best things about G Tower is it's a great way to test your knowledge of just everything, because you're facing off against multiple of enemies. You're utilizing all the skills, all the movement tech that you've learned, and you're using it all in one location.
Alright, we get to go to Wiz 2 room now, still utilizing the Canis Mari strat.
Oh man.
Oh no, these floors! Ugh.
Yeah, it's not often that you see that where the enemies will get they'll get their hit out on Link before you get your sword poke on them. Oh, Void taking a lot of damage here. It's got to be careful. You don't get any health refills after you defeat this dungeon. And he's skipping all the hearts.
Yeah, he probably knows his competition's right up against him, so he's just going as fast as he can, getting through all this.
Yeah, it's a really close race. Looks like his opponent is just the same amount of health distance away. If you take the Sanctuary Heart out of the equation.
Yeah, they're both pretty low on health getting through all these places, so we'll see how this fight fares with Yan in the end.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lamo giving Benteezy a little bit of trouble here as well, not allowing him to get the 1 cycle. Ooh, and the Medusa head preventing him from a 2 cycle.
Alright, Ben still has a bit of magic, so this is kind of good. Of course, we face Aga 2. Now we have 3 forms of Aghanim. 2 of the shadow ones will always shoot an energy ball, but the main one can still shoot a blue ball.
Yeah, Aga 2's giving Void some pretty mean patterns here. Ooh, and he loses out on the 3rd one because he knocked Aga 2 far out. No! Oh, Ben got 1.0'd. So unfortunately, we have a forfeit from Benteezy. So Void's is going to finish up his run as the victor in this instance here. Let's just see how he gets through Ganon.
He tried to do a 1-to-1, so that's why he did that spin attack up there. Looks like he got it.
Let me clarify on the 1.0. So one of the you get a lot of benefits of the 1.0, but unfortunately there is a drawback whenever Link is falling. So while you're falling, you still have a valid hitbox, and enemies can still hit you. Fireballs can still hit you. Some of the worst instances of getting 1.0 is right there where you take a fall and the enemy still pokes you, but I think by far the worst one is in Ice Palace if you get touched by the ice golems. So Void getting that torch glitch there that allows him to only ever have 1 torch go out. So he'll always have eyes on where Ganon is, and the room will never go completely dark. This also helps whenever you want to try to get Ganon into a 3-hit, which Void is setting up perfectly here.
And now it just takes 12 spin attacks to finish off Ganon. This is with the Tempered Sword, of course. It's the same with Butter Sword or Gold Sword. The only difference is if you do have Master Sword in the category such as low percent, you would have to do 24 spin attacks at the end.
Yeah, Master Sword in low percent is it's a really tough end of this run. But Void gets done, and we're gonna have an official time here in just a second.
Indeed, a very nice run. Sub 130 is always nice to see. And get your GGs in chat for Void for completing this fantastic race for us.
And finishes in at 1:28.26 on the Speed Racing TV. Unfortunately, Void being the lone survivor of what started as a 4-man race and turned into one person getting through this game, just to show you that, you know, executing this game at a high level can be frustrating. Sometimes your game can crash on you. There's just a lot of things that kind of go on, and especially in a marathon setting, it takes a lot to just kind of push forward and not look at your splits and figure out, okay, you know, I may be behind on my PB, but I could be ahead of my opponent.
Well, we'll see if we can get Void in here for any kind of interview with us, though.
So yeah, what ended up happening is Andy's cart crashed, but if you just joined us and you're trying to figure out what's going on with that race, Parisian player has decided to do a rematch, so they're going to be setting up a rematch in the future, so look forward to Andy versus Parisian once again on Speed Gaming or the various Speed Gaming channels, and we're joined by V0oid, GG man.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for racing, and it was exciting to see you once again, Void.
Yeah, I'm happy that it was you who commentated my race again. And same to Ninnies. Thank you guys for commentating.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for being the last man standing. This was definitely not an easy race to kind of survive through. There was a lot of problems throughout this run, but
yeah,
you managed to finish. How far ahead of your PB?
I was 1 minute and 47 seconds behind.
That's not bad, especially in a tournament setting.
Yeah, it's not bad, especially considering I fell twice to Moldorm and yeah, had a kind of a party at Aghanim's Tower because I was low on arrows and I had to improvise the Red Spears rooms. So yeah.
I just want to mention really quickly that even though Ben did take this forfeit here, both V0oid and Ben are advancing to brackets. So if you're a fan of either of these guys, you're going to see more of them later on in the tournament after the group stages are over. I just want to say, you know, once again, GG's. But like, were there any spots that like you felt like you nailed? Because we're looking at this your G tower when you're going through it, and you were just mopping up, dude.
Yeah, the gauntlet was sick. I like honestly thought I had good chances at a gold split at Ganon's Tower with that gauntlet, but then like right after I get 2 cycled on Lenmolus, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course. And then I get frame ruled on the bridge. I think it was frame ruled because like I always dash in that spot, and that was like the first time I got knocked out of my dash there. And yeah, it was just like a lot of up and down in Ganon's Tower. Like I feel like it was probably going to be gold with a 1 cycle Lenmolus.
I think the thing that made me lose my mind was the frame ruling that you got in Misery Mire.
Oh yeah, I just went right through the fire snake. That like yeah, and I didn't expect that, so like I bonked, but like I didn't even know that was possible.
Looks like we got joined by Benteezy here. I mean, welcome, dude. Welcome. I know you had a hard race. How you feeling?
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to say GG to V0oid.
Thanks.
And, because I think me and him both knew that like the race itself didn't really mean anything between us because we were both qualifying no matter what. But still, we still played it out and he won. So GG's.
Yeah, but I knew we could like have a good race going because our PBs are pretty close to each other.
Oh yeah, your guys' race was super close. If you go back and watch it, I mean, there were points when you guys were trading leads, and you guys both got similar. I mean, like your Aga Tower is nail biting, but you managed to get less blue balls, and you were able to kind of close that gap. Ben unfortunately was taking a lot of damage in these Darkwood dungeons, so it made us kind of nervous, and he had to take a little bit more safeties and just kind of slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I did get only 3 blue balls, so that helped considering the 2 falls on Moldorn. But like, I feel like Dark World was okay until Ice. Then like I lost the lottery leading to Ice, and I don't know. There were like a lot of small things that went wrong in Ice, and then Swamp didn't really go much better. Same with Mire. I think what happened on Mire. I think it was the overworld again.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
entered Mire with I think 2 less hearts, but because like you even got that fairy from the bush, but you opted not to go for it just in lieu of
Yeah,
speed.
because I wanted to farm the crabs.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what
and
we're
he gave you
doing.
that one little green ruby drop.
Hmm.
We were just kind of wondering what happened to your prize pack. I think what happened is you threw the pot at the mini Helmosaur on
Yeah,
your way
yeah,
to
I'll-
get the hammer yump, and that's what kind of ruined your prize pack.
Yeah, I always do that. But like that usually, like I'm usually not too bothered with it as long as I survive chomps, and I did this run. Like if I can get past chomps, then like I'm pretty confident that I can make it through Turtle Rock. And well, this time around it was a nail biter, but I did it.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
executed Trinex really well. I mean, I was surprised that with 2 hearts that you decided to go for the backdoor strats, but just like your confidence and your ability to execute and defeat that boss, just like it really showed off how hard you've been practicing for this tournament and how much work you've been putting into this game recently.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely happy with my progress in this game.
Yeah, it was really an exciting race to commentate. So thank you for racing. Even Parisian and Andy. I know Andy had some hiccup from
Yeah.
his car crash, but it was an overall really exciting run amongst you four. You guys all made it through Light World semi close together, and it was just exciting to see the different strategies used. And it was really a really nice evening for us.
Yeah, I honestly expected Andy and Parisian player, like when Parisian asked for a rematch, I honestly expected them to just like fire up another run right afterwards. But I guess schedule doesn't really permit that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's what the initial plan was, but I think it's scheduled later on during this week.
Right.
So it's cool. I mean, like, even though they were racing side by side with you, you'll be able to watch that race from your couch and be able to like kind of sit back with some popcorn and enjoy.
Oh, I was watching it as I was playing, so I don't need to rewatch it.
Yeah, I was watching as well as I was playing. So it's kind of adding to the frustration. The 7 blue balls, like,
Yeah.
and then that really bad Vitreous fight. That cost me like a good 25 seconds. It was just really frustrating.
Wow, I think that's it for us tonight for LTTP. But tomorrow we'll have way more races for you, including a race from our co-commentary partner here, Ninnies and Cross Product.
Yeah, it's the last race, I believe, for our group stages, so pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck, man. I'll be watching.
We also have Pika Pals versus Willard, and of course on front page we'll have an exciting race from Joe D'Amelio and Dodecahedron, or Dodi Cheddaron.
Oh man, I can't wait to watch that one.
All in all, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the run. I loved our racers, our runners. Give them a follow if you enjoyed what you saw. Of course, I love my buddy Ninny's Boys over here.
Thanks, EA. I love you too, man.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for commentating.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Rolling out.
Yeah, last but not least, make sure you hit those follow buttons on your commentators, on your runners. You'll want to see more from these guys in the future.